I couldn't go home after work. I stayed at work late into the night. I filtered all the messages between the other men and my wayward wife and was going through them. Eventually, I found a message where she agreed to go to the restroom with one of the men. That to me was a clear sign that she was getting plowed in the bathroom at work after weeks of flirting and giving her compliments and of her sending him explicit photos. Apparently, she likes the man on his second marriage better than the other one, and there is a possibility that she slept with both. While I was going through her work email, my wayward wife called me around 7 p.m. or so. I was still at work, looking through her work messages and explicit pictures she sent to her work colleagues. I texted her that I would be home late. It was a Tuesday night. In total, she sent 36 explicit pictures. 12 was her wearing bikinis. 15 was her completely in her birthday suit, top and bottom. 7 was taken exposing her lower parts, and 12 was different poses exposing her chest. 19 of those pictures were taken at her work bathroom, and 7 at home. She took some of those pictures while I was at home. 8 of the bikini pictures were already on her private Instagram, and 2 of those were taken with me, but she cropped me out of the photos. By the time I went through all the explicit pictures and messages, it was already past 11 p.m., and my wayward wife was calling me to check on me. I texted her that I was in a bar with a friend. How I feel at that time? I felt dizzy, like a cold chill was running through my body. I couldn't believe that she would go this far to get attention. From the evidence, I could tell she went to the bathroom to have excess with one of the guys. I felt like the stupidest person to have believed that she only sent a bikini photo, and she lied to me to allow her back into our home, only to prolong my pain and anguish. I couldn't go back home, so I went to a bar that I knew would be open. On my way to the bar, I wasn't angry with my wife because I now knew that she was a narcissistic sociopath. I was angry with myself and the other men. I already knew that my marriage was over and I would be serving her with divorce papers tomorrow. I was angry at the men because they have a wife at home but decided to violate mine, knowing that she was married. I wasn't mad at my wife at the time because I thought she had a mental disorder. I was more mad at myself, believing her and taking her back after all the lies and deception. She had so much obvious red flags that I am now seeing who she really was for the first time in our relationship. As I was sitting on the bar, sipping my drinks, I didn't want to go home and see her ever again. I am not religious, but I felt like she was a succubus that was sent by the devil to destroy my life. Why else would you lie to a man about your fertility to get into a relationship with him? Why else would you spend my hard-earned money like you're in a hurry to keep me penurious, wasting years of my life, only to find out that she was lying and cheating with possibly multiple men, then lie and manipulate me so I would let her back in? I left the bar at 2 a.m. in the morning, and I would have stayed longer if it was still open. I was a little tipsy, but not intoxicated, so I was able to drive myself home. When I got home, my wayward wife was sleeping in the living room couch. Apparently, she had been waiting for me. My phone had died, so I didn't notice her calls. When I walked through the front door, she woke up and looked really worried. I was going to confront her, but I was too physically and emotionally drained. The last thing I remember was her yelling at me about not answering my phone before I fell asleep. She woke me up in the morning after she got ready for work. I was supposed to wake up early for work, but I had a hangover and I overslept. She was still worried about me not answering my phone the day before. Then she told me she was going to work, and she left. I didn't even want to say anything to her because I was so done with the marriage and didn't want to hear any more lies from her. When she left for work, all I could think about was that she was hurrying up to give herself up at work. A chapter of my life is already over. Hard lesson learned at a great cost. I called in sick for work, then called my divorce lawyer to continue the separation process. I can only hope she'll give me the clean split she promised. My biggest fear is that I will do something stupid, like taking her back again. I'm doing my best to prepare a shift mentally and legally, and the lies she's about to tell. When she came home that night, I already prepared myself to face her. I have the divorce paper ready, all the explicit pictures, and the most damning messages for her to see. I can still remember the first word that came out of her mouth when she walked through the front door. "What's going on?" I gave her all the explicit pictures for her to see as the look of confusion in her face gave way to tears. I knew that was coming, and I was prepared for it. She confessed that she never slept with any of them, but later changed her story and admitted to taking a knee on one of the guys in the bathroom. She only admitted it because I had proof of it. She begged me not to do anything irrational and she said that she haven't done anything with any of them since she returned home, and she had been good. I told her that the irrational thing for me to do is to continue this nightmare that I am living in. I asked her why she lied to me about the extent of the affair, and she said that she didn't want me to leave her. I told her that I'm done with the marriage and that she has ruined my life enough. I asked her to grant me an amicable divorce and to never contact me. I couldn't stay with her in that house because I can clearly see the tears were all part of an act to manipulate me. I know it's not advisable to leave the house, but I was having dark thoughts. I am not religious, but I was that night because I saw my wife as a witch sent to destroy my life. The more she cried, the more I see through the lies, the more I see her wickedness and hatred she had for me. I left the divorce papers on the table and told her to leave the house before I returned. I took some of my clothes and left. She must have gotten the message because she didn't attempt to chase after me like she normally would. She continued to sob as I left the house. When I came back home from the hotel 2 days later, she had already left. I slept more than 3 hours for the first time since D-Day, but had nightmares after Wayward's wife betrayal. I think I was literally out of emotional energy, something I don't know I could experience, and I broke down again writing this post. I'll be looking for support group and starting therapy, also reaching out with friends I lost touch with over the years. I can tell already that the hardest part of this, for me long term, would be the immersed hole in my romantic life. I was never the stereotypical guy and hated everything about dating in my early 20s. Never thought I would take the whiteout to that life goals checkbox. I understand the recommended direction is to find yourself again, and I will try, but I'm being honest about what would be hardest for me. I also know that support from friends and family will fade in some ways. We will run out of things to say, and neither side we want to keep rehearsing the past, and we will hit a maintenance phase, which is when I expect the loneliness to set in hard. I am sure I will update more. Thank y'all. I went to visit a friend and had a fairly small amount to drink. The pain was almost for an hour or two, but whoa, it came back in force. I didn't think this small of an amount would hit me like that. On the paperwork side of things, I am discovering that my wife was not only a terrible spender, she was also hiding funds from me. I was basically making the money while she hides and spends it. Over 4 years, I have made more than $1 million, and I had nothing worthwhile to show for it. All I did was to make sure that the credit card's payments are made every month. She came to my life and took my time and money. It makes me sick to think she can do what she did and then take so much from me. We are still trying at the solution, so collecting things to present ourselves. I have an attorney involved, so I guess I will need to talk to an attorney about my concerns and what to do. After she knew that I have given up on the marriage, it was almost like a sudden switch went off on her. She stopped crying, composed herself, and all she was worried about was getting a fair share of my money. She's living her life normally, aside from being displaced after leaving voluntarily and probably in an active affair. She hasn't asked to come back because she knows that I wouldn't fall for it this time or anything similar, and have asked to pick up her belongings next week. She was here Thursday doing the same thing. Also, can't get any of my work-recommended therapists to call back or answer their phone. Didn't talk to a single person this week to even schedule something. Very frustrating. On that level, my emotional mind refused to let go. In a very real and odd way, I see thought like maybe it was all a test or a joke, float by, and continue to wait to wake up. I am in such strong denial that I know I'm in it. It's bizarre. I can't say I've been in this situation before, as much as I needed it before. I now wonder if I should have deleted my access to the work email, as I can be certain it will help me remain vigilant looking forward. Whether or not it will be worth continuing ripping open wounds is only something time will tell. For those who have become aware of their spouse's infidelity, I'm sure they can relate to the pain of having to see the exchange. It is worse than just knowing. I only hope that I can survive this. I will never forgive the infidelity and the constant lies, moral boundary issues, and the general terrible decision-making of some of these terrible actions that will taint my future life in terms of any future relationship with a woman. In 4 years, this is the first time we hit a true hard stop in our relationship, and the response was, better find someone else. I will be in the mood of policing her actions, always. In terms of actual news, I learned she was planning on moving back to Texas soon, and that the text sent to her mother admitting to cheating. Yes, a text. She said, and I quote, made a mistake and was caught having multiple affairs because I wasn't paying her enough attention, causing the sparks in our marriage to disappear, and at the same time, she was lying to me about the affairs. Seemed pretty clear that she was the work floozy and everybody knows her name. And yet, through all these actions, she won't give me the closure of admitting to all the multiple affairs. In summary, I provide you with my current feelings in the form of a horror movie snapshot. I have attempted escape from this terrible situation. I hopped over the privacy fence, leaving the proverbial yard of my marriage. I am now looking back in the peephole at the green grass bathed in beautiful sunlight glow, knowing but unable to see the terror that stalked barely out of frame, waiting to pounce if I were to come back over. Don't do it, protagonist. We are working towards a separation. Yes, but it's not done until it's done. So I came seeking support and continued advice, and I received continued overwhelming support. Reader comment: why a separation and not a divorce? She lied about her college job and her fertility, and then cheated with multiple men. Doesn't sound like she's a wife material or remorseful in any way. So why wait? The sooner you divorce, the sooner you heal and move on. Original poster. Wrong term. We are working on being done. I don't want to get into legal specifics any further until it's all finished. Reader comment: she took two things from you, and Google this: psychological personal agency. This took openness away from you. She took truth away. Basically, by lying to you, she robbed you the ability to make clear, informed decision about your life and its direction. Number 2, psychological personal narrative. This is the story you have of how you got to where you are by lying to you, betraying you, and deceiving you. She broke your personal narrative. When this happens, people are hugely unsettled. They have to rebuild a personal narrative while processing the betrayal at the same time. These are the types of trauma that can easily result to PTSD. Look yourself in the mirror and start saying out loud all of the things that she has done. Number 1, broke your personal narrative, took your agency, cheated, lied, deceived. Then think about what to tell a friend who came to you with the same story. What advice would you give? Original poster. Those terms are new to me and helpful to understand my current situation. Well, I found a counselor, so that's good. Took a lot of calls to get a call back, even till a visit set for Friday to get started. Hopefully it's beneficial. Well, curiosity got the best of me, so I checked the same mail. She's still sending the guy explicit photos. Must have forgotten to delete one from her sent folder. No surprise, but I guess reinforcement is good at this point. Reader comment: sorry you have to go through that. I am sure it's still painful, even though it confirms you are on the right track. Original poster. If I had listened to everyone here, I would have already been complete no contact and a bit further down the road. Instead, I'm still spending time doing this. But yes, good information to know, bad information to see. Reader comment: she doesn't sound like much of a wife. Original poster. She's either the best liar I've ever met, because I thought she was a terrible liar, or something really shifted internally. Original poster. She's the best liar and manipulator I have ever met. Thanks for all the support. I'm reaching out to family and friends who have been great, but they are all as shocked and disgusted as me and don't have the experience of the great group here. Update: 2 months after D-Day, Wayward came over today to pick up some more properties. I did talk briefly and found out she got fired from her job, and I didn't ask her why, and confessed to her affair. She seemed like she had been genuinely crying because she now realized her honeymoon was over. She admitted she had an affair with both colleagues, and they both had her in the men's bathroom and parking lot. She apologized for what she put me through and the lies about having a big family. She told me that she was going to find herself because she destroyed a perfect marriage and didn't understand why things fall apart, because she wasn't going out of her way to cheat. It just happened organically. She said she was attending therapy to figure out what was wrong with her. Looking back, the relationship started with lies and ended with disaster for both of us. The lies and the lack of children then really rushed us apart, and I was withdrawing. Personally, I have come with a lot of information about what I could have done better. I only hope I can internalize it, because a lot of it is long running. Not sure if I could ever get married again, and I think I have developed some stress trauma from this. One of the images she sent to the other man was paired with a response that I read: still thinking about you, and eventually lined up to the day of the admitted XO activity. I know there have been more than this one I know of, and with all the pieces together, it burned into my mind. Her sitting in our couch, taking these pictures after having done what she did, then crawling back into bed with me. Meanwhile, I think it's any other day. The image inserts into my mind without any warning. I felt like I have majority of faults for not knowing who she really is before I got married to her. I was carried away by the beauty and didn't investigate her background or do my due diligence to realize what a wicked person she is. And I still believe that. So a few weeks ago, I started looking into my soon-to-be ex-wife affair partners. She already admitted to plowing both men. I found out who their wives were. I know I couldn't disclose much about how I got that information because I might face some legal issues. The only evidence I have about them cheating were their office email messages. To avoid any legal issue and prevent my soon-to-be ex-wife from giving me a clean split, I kept it to myself. Update. I am not going to go into details about the divorce, but we sold our house and I gave her 80% of the equity so she wouldn't go after my investment. She has enough of my money stashed away anyway. It sucked that I still have to pay her alimony for over a year, but I'm glad they didn't touch my 401k and other investments. I had a good lawyer and he said I got off easy. I am not sure I believed him, but I'm glad this is over. After the divorce was complete, I got the final degree from the judge. She moved back to Texas. I am sure she's going to find another sucker like me to leech off of. Well, some exciting news. After the divorce, I still had grudges for the two men that were having their way with my wife. I sent their wives a little package, hand-delivered, of all the messages from work with my wife. Long story short, they are going through much worse divorce than I did. But that story is for another day. It gives me great joy knowing that they are currently suffering more than I did, especially since they have kids. For what it's worth, I am glad that I didn't have